Guys, I'm listening. I see you wanting more high elo games, worse than my cat is craving for a KFC sandwich. So today we're back with a high elo action. I prepared three rapid games on my speedrun count above 2000 elo. When we're gonna be going over specifically three variations that are difficult to face as a Jobava London player. So the first game will be dedicated to pretty annoying reply like C5 as you see on the screen. So without any more introduction, let's dive right into the games. Right, everybody, back in action with a white game. Gonna open it up with D4 and I'm gonna play the Jobava London, but I'll play it slightly different than usual. Okay, we actually don't get to play the Jobava London because my opponent is going for C5 very early. Now we got a choice. So E4 is the main move. I can also play bishop f4 if I want to be kind of tricky. It's a possible move, allowing him to take. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the main move. Alternatively, dc5 is also not entirely stupid if you know what you're doing. I looked at all alternatives, but e4 is by far the easiest and strongest move from a concept perspective, because when black is pushing c5, they're trying to open up the center while being slightly underdeveloped. So we already have an extra knight ready to join the action, and after the e4, the point is to not take nor take that guy, but to push, with the idea to make life difficult for the enemy b8 knight. We're pretty much recreating the same opening pattern from the Albin counter gambit. Hopefully I am remembering that right. It's that gambit, after white plays queen's gambit, black goes e5. And then d5, d4, it's kind of similar theme, except it's a version on steroids here with an extra move. And okay, black goes knight f6, still obviously theory, and the following move is going to be very important for you to remember. It's not a natural move, but it's a strong one. Knight e2. Knight e2, multi-purpose move, preparing both knight g3, in case my opponent, I don't really know, does nothing. I don't know what he could play to do nothing, but knight g3, idea to win the pawn. And in case of e6, you wanna go knight f4, so that we get to recapture. On e5, you have a funny but very strong move. Actually, I had a game like that in the past. It's important to play knight h5 and white has large advantage. But ed still main move, and now we have an interesting moment because both knights can capture on d5. How the heck do you figure out which one is better? Normally, we use the rule that we prefer the lesser active knight. So notice that the knight on f4 is closer to the center by one rank, being placed on the fourth rank, and the other guy is placed only on the third rank. So less active knight would mean this move. But that's not the best here. In this position, you want to prioritize the other one just to keep this guy pressuring e4. This is more important. You keep the guy pressure e4, and also alternatively we add bishop f4, bishop g5 to the table. Okay, he takes, and now important move, don't just take with the knight, but take with the queen. So we're gonna be forcing a queen trade, and usually okay, I mean, black is fine according to the computer if you do analysis, but from my experience, the black players tend to misplay this very quickly, and white has a large advantage normally. So the point is just to go bishop e3 castle, and there are gonna be some problems with the undefended bishop, and I prefer bishop e3 to keep an eye on this pawn. Also, in particular, e4 is quite soft as well, because you will see once I castle what I mean. So I'm just gonna let Black makes some moves. I actually don't remember what's the precise way for him to equalize. Maybe it's this one. Hopefully not. I don't remember. But I'm gonna castle. Adding the pressure. B6, a move that felt logical. Not sure, maybe it was interesting for me to throw in a check. I just played the simple move. And okay, he castled, and to me, this feels like one of those positions where white has a big edge. Okay, we have many interesting moves. Why not feel free to pause the video and think about what would you play. The low-hanging fruit would be to play knight to c3, discovery, and then winning the pawn. With a somewhat, let's say, small lead in development. But also knight f6 check is always kind of interesting. And then you pick up on d6, you messed up the pawns. Yeah, which one do I want to go for? Huh. Feels like both should be pretty good. King g7. I'm just trying to calculate a little bit, but I'm like very rusty. I have a feeling this move kind of punishes him in a way that it's gonna be more difficult to finish developing the pieces. Otherwise, knight c3, knight e4, also small edge. Very possible, but yeah, I like this one. Okay, I had a comment, by the way, the other day. Somebody said, why do you spend so much time in the opening? Yada, yada, yada. We've seen the opening so many times. But that's the thing. Within the first 15 moves, especially in low elo, that's where you win your games. It doesn't matter, it's the opening. It's very important. A lot of critical things are happening in the opening. So if you rush, you can easily miss the golden opportunity. And okay, bishop e6, of course, a move that I missed. Not sure why. Okay, what he wants to do next? He wants to play knight d7. So he's got this weak pawn. It makes sense to go bishop b5, stopping the knight move, and it's gonna provoke a6. But after a6, I can go bishop e2 back. And suddenly I managed to weaken his pawns. So after knight d7, I'll have rook a d1. And if he plays rook fd8, self-pinning, it's gonna be very dangerous. Then maybe I have a move like f3. I feel like bishop b5 should be the way. f3 also very tempting move. f3 maybe just knight d7. Yeah, f3 takes, I guess, some access over the g file. His king could get in trouble. But I'm gonna play for limiting the knight. Bishop b5. Okay, this guy is playing ultra fast, so I have only 3 minutes left. Not ideal for now. Oh, rook c8. I don't get that move. Maybe he wants a6, knight c6. But that's gonna be too slow because I have rook a d1 now, and rook d8 is a huge threat, and my opponent fails to finish development. That's actually a pretty funny example if we can catch such a strong fish with basic idea. You rarely see player of this caliber lose by being underdeveloped. So yeah, a6 now I could retreat, but that gives him time to develop. So I think he forgot about this intermezzo. Yeah, and now he's in big trouble. So you guys can pause the video and find the final touch. It's not even the final touch. Yeah, so there is obviously simple move, bishop c6. Because if rook a7, knight remains undefended. But why not just retreat? And I don't think he has a way of stopping bishop f4, really. I just win clean knight. So it's better to win free knight than rook for a knight, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back. I don't see a way how he defends. So bishop f4 incoming next. Losing the horse. Just can be the problem with such variation. As I said in the beginning, It's aligned totally fine according to the computer, but when you have to play it yourself, it can easily go downhill. Whenever I have this position as white, I feel like my opponents never remember the proper way of playing. I still get crushed occasionally because I miss the advantage move, but yeah, that happens mostly in blitz. In rapid, I have some time to think. Okay, bishop b5, I can obviously trade and take, but the cynical way would be to take and then play king b1. It's the kind of move that you make and then you go for a long walk in the playing hole. Just wait for your opponent to resign. Okay, king b1. That's it. That is it. Was ist das? Ceci, c'est là. C'est la vie. Life was unfair with my opponent this game. What to do? Okay, just not letting him to check. He's still trying. He's a rook, but a rook with a dream. He only has a rook. Let's see. Okay, pick up the pawn. King f5. Yeah, I'm just gonna like try to not hang the bishop. The rest is just collecting. I'm not even gonna let him check. You don't get that, sir. You don't get that privilege. If I want to be ultra cautious, I could do a move like g4. Stop these pawns, but it's a little bit overkill. So I'm just gonna start pushing. Hopefully he goes f5 and then I get to exchange the rook. Maybe that will convince him. But some people, you can never convince them. It's better not to try. Feels like one of those cases. Okay, rook c7. Still not convinced. All right. Bishop a7. Finally. Nice. Okay. There is apparently a small update to the game review. Not sure you guys can see it here, but they made this text pop up. Interesting. I don't play much on chess.com anymore on my main account, so this is kind of new. I figured it out whenever I record. Yeah, we got a game 90. The first game was pretty straightforward, but the following one got pretty double-edged. To the point where I came up with the idea that might be interesting to use an edit that would look something like this. In the right side of the screen, you will notice these additional chessboards where you're gonna see the piece movements of what I'm actually calculating live during the game. So I just want to make it very clear that these are added in post-production and I am not using these boards during the games. I've done something similar in the past and I noticed a lot of you asking in the comments, oh, this is so cool. How can I use such boards during the games? That is not possible. That would be cheating. This is only meant to help you understand what goes through my head before I make a decision. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's dive right into the next game. Welcome back, everybody. Facing a 2100 opponent, King Love. Let's spread some love and sprinkle Jobava London on top of it. As you can see, today my haircut is just like my chess, very skibidi, whatever that means. So, opponent plays c6, stopping any potential knight b5 ideas. Very important to keep it flexible. Don't, nada, start with a knight. You want to keep flexibility. e3 first. If bishop out, pawn storm. If g6, Grunfeld, then we're gonna throw in Harry. But if he was blocking in the bishop, then we do bishop d3, knight f3, castle, and look to e4. On g6, however, that pretty much is a signal he will be fianchettoing. And against this line specifically, the fianchetto plus pawn on d5, the Grunfeld, that makes it the Grunfeld. You wanna remember to do h4. So this is the key idea to put pressure on the fianchetto. And even though advancing is interesting to sacrifice, it's not as good with the king in the middle. The sacrifice is leading to an advantage if the king is already castled. So instead, I'm gonna play bishop e2, offering a handshake to this pawn on h4, threatening to push, which is the reason why he blocks it. And now we're gonna do a simple move for the London, get a knight onto e5, and well, we're gonna take it from there. He goes for bishop f5. Normally that's not a great positional move in the Grunfeld, because white's main pawn break is to deliver g4 one day. So the bishop only seems to help that, because we're gonna gain a tempo. Although we'll see. I might be wrong. If he plays the other knight to d7, it may still be okay. Yeah, I was suggesting this knight to create double threat. Knight bd7 knight we can ignore pretty much. I have now choice between queen d2 or f3. The question is, am I afraid of knight e4? Simply allowing trade. In general, I'm not super afraid of that, but I want to go f3. I feel like f3 could be leading to a more thematic game. So I'm going to play f3. And expecting him to take or to play queen b6. Those would be the main moves that I expect him to play. If he goes castle, I'm more than happy. But yeah, we'll see. What I wanted to mention is that this is a slightly inferior Grunfeld from my opponent, for my opponent, because he committed to the c6 move super early. So if you remember how it all started, he played c6 and then g6. So Grunfeld with c6. And this is an inferior version because when you play Grunfeld, this setup, normally the pawn goes to c5 to chop away white's center. But yeah, when he plays it like this, if you do it now, it's gonna lose a tempo. It's not gonna be that good. But we'll see. I have to say, if you don't know what you're doing, these positions are a nightmare to be playing with the black pieces. I remember back in the days, like 6-7 years ago, let's say, when Jobava London was just starting to be meta and popular. I was at the time playing Grunfeld defense or King's Indian, and whenever I would enter such positions, I would have big difficulties because the natural moves are somehow not so effective for black against Jobava London. And my opponent really spends a lot of time here. Either that or he may be busy babysitting a children or something else. I don't know. Okay, I have students that complain for poor results, blaming the children. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. Okay, a5. So a5 is a typical move for black, just kind of anticipating that we're gonna castle long, so he wants to start a pawn storm. An interesting maneuver, if you wanna look very educated, you can play knight d1, knight f2. Now, you know I'm not a very educated guy, so I'm gonna long castle. I will leave that for the educated squad. And it's important to understand that b5 is a huge blunder that happens quite often because fails to spot drawback of the move. Pawn on c6 remains unprotected. Opponent plays a4. Now, we have a choice. Um, you can ignore. Normally, you can ignore such pawns, wait for him to play a3 and then you sidestep. But specifically in this structure, I like to go a3 and fix the dark squares. These squares can be quite nice to maneuver around. I like knight a2, knight b4 maneuver to stop any counterplay before it even starts. I had many games like this in the past. I'm still sort of puzzled that he's delaying the capture. I expect him to play it next move and then to go b5. And we are quite likely to get this possession after knight a2. I put the knight on b4. And this is gonna be just a very nice touch. Like in football, stopping the ball with your chest. That would be a nice maneuver. Stopping the attack with our chest. Can we say that? I don't know if I'm so confident in my chest abilities, but I'll try to make it up with a chess, I guess. a3. What is opponent gonna play? He doesn't have many moves. Castling. You know you're stepping in the lion's mouth. Rook g1, g4 is coming. Very easy pawn break. And queen e7. I mean, you cannot really long castle, can you? Long castle just drops the pawn. So I don't know what this movie is saying. Also, by the way, one interesting idea that we could go for, and it's sort of a thematic trick, is that the enemy bishop is running out of squares. So I'm looking at g4/e4 ideas to trap the bishop, because g4 takes, he's gonna have knight e5 intermezzo. And then gf5, the knight has to move, I take on g6, he's got a very weak pawn. Is that interesting to enter? I could also just play very dull move, rook d g1. Also bishop g5. Not the worst, considering that if he tries to unpin, I can trade knights, trade on f6, and then e4 almost traps the bishop. E4 and then fork. Okay, let's try. Bishop g5 feels very clever here. So he cannot trade anymore because he's gonna be dropping a piece. And expecting queen d6. Oh, queen d6, I think I miscalculated something. Okay, I miscalculated, but it's still much better. Queen f8, similar idea. Okay. So initial plan was to take g4. That's just kind of crashing. So I have to take. Maybe have to take is a bit much to say. I don't have to do anything because I'm in full control and completely winning with every move that I play. Is my feeling. But how to proceed exactly? Okay, so now I have two big options, g4 or e4. E4 takes, bishop g4. That is one thing. I can trade and play e5 with knight e4 coming into d6, very hard to stop. It's a bit long. How about g4? So he has to take, bishop e4. I take, he takes. Weak pawn on e4. F-file a bit vulnerable. I play maybe rook df1. It goes like knight b6. Which one seems more simple to progress? Oof. How am I not winning a piece in this position? This is exactly the structure where I would imagine we're winning a piece. Also, can we ever have juicy knight b5 ideas? Takes and somehow mate. Doesn't seem to be the case. g4 takes. I'm spending so much time on this. I feel like it's completely winning, but I'm failing to see it. I'm gonna play e4 just for the central control. I feel like this line compared to the previous one that we've calculated has more impact over the center. So bishop g4 and now either take or do d5 or e5 right away. Yes, I think we take, giving him weak pawn, and then simple idea, queen e2, just try to win the pawn, but I think perhaps even stronger e5. So I'm stopping any f6 because that would create terrible weakness on e6, and I'm also preparing knight e4, knight d6, while simultaneously keeping this idea in the pocket. So maybe bishop h6 is time to try for my opponent. Maybe lesser evil to at least exchange bishops and hope for some desperate castle. But bishop h6, knight e4, takes on g5. Okay, so he plays it. Takes, I take with pawn. Actually, I can even take with queen, and that's creating knight d6 idea. Maybe interesting. Although pawn capture, I'm also happy with. Wait, so here he wants to trade. I go knight d6, king f8 only move, and then I go rook df1, takes on g5. I have to take a rook trade, king g8. No, it's unbelievable that I don't have mate, but should be completely winning endgame. Okay, so taking with the queen has to be the move. It's also possible to take hg, but no need to let him castle, and queen e7. Okay, so this really allows knight d6. So I have to play it to make progress, no other move, and king d8 allows a fork, king f8, only move, and now how to proceed? Which rook do I put on f1? Also, maybe there is knight f7, interesting idea. Okay, knight f7 I quite like, because queen g5 I take it back with the knight, and if he takes with the queen I win queen. If he takes with the king, I will have rook f1, forcing king e8. I was looking at queen g6, king d8, rook f7, but maybe not so clear. Oh, come on, it doesn't work as I wanted. Okay, how to play it then? Yeah, probably it's better to keep rooks on the board so I can get more pieces into the attack. And after rook h7, simply play rook f4. And then rook df1, and I don't see a way to defend f7. So we have to just play it very simple here. It looks complicated. We just have to like figure out the details, but realistically speaking, white is winning completely in many ways. I'm just trying to go for the most clear-cut way, which is why I'm spending a lot of time for obviously, let's say, moves that are quite simple to make. But I just don't want to miss a juicy shot like knight f7 or potential ideas that can be pragmatic. I think that's the word. So yeah, expecting him to trade, and then he's just gonna be having a problem with backward pawn on f7. g4 pawn also weak, but I don't think we rush with taking it, only later. But pretty much once our rooks will infiltrate on f7, then the rest should be pretty easy. So he's gonna defend, preparing double up, alternatively having pressure. Wow, he plays king e7, which I forgot he can do. I'm gonna go rook f1, make him passive, and I think it's best to pick up b7 pawn, because g4 I can take later. So I'm gonna be up 2 pawns in an endgame. Yeah, I'm a little bit unhappy that he manages to play an endgame, because my intuition says that there should have been more. I'm Just gonna pick up this pawn, not allow further trades, and the rest should be pretty easy once I bring my king. Okay, so rook h1 he goes, he wants to trade, I don't mind. I can probably create an outside passer. I can bring my king also. I think bringing the king is easiest. His rook is tied down to babysit. I'm even gonna play c4 to cut away square on d5. And I'm gonna run the king to a5 and eating some pawns. I'm gonna be pawn eater. I'm gonna be on a diet. We're gonna have a Dukan diet, but instead of the cereals, we're gonna have a bunch of pawns. We're gonna have a bunch of pawns to recreate the fibers. I don't really know what I'm saying though. I'm not an expert in diets or anything really. So just having a good time winning a game against the Grunfeld. Okay, I forgot about that idea, but b5 is just in time. And now I don't take. I will use his pawn as an umbrella. I will push forward as he captures. He doesn't even bother capturing. Just for comedic effect, I will push. And yeah, I will let him choose. Which one do you want me to queen? A or C? Or maybe you want the D? Nah, I cannot queen the D. Alright. Brother, pretty skibidi game. I don't like what I did. Okay, we got 93, but before we move on, I just wanted to apologize that I skipped the video from last week. And in case you don't know, currently I am working on my own website. So writing the next courses is pretty much eating all my time, while in the meantime coordinating a team of web developers, which honestly turns out to be a little bit more challenging than I initially thought, but I will manage it. Probably I'm gonna be able to give you more updates in a month from now related to the website. But for the following game, with that out of the way, we're gonna be going over a very common beginner mistake that I see, which is that against the early bishop to f5 move, people just do not pay attention while playing the Jobava and they mirror, which is already putting you on the wrong path. So whenever you see bishop on f5, you want to start with f3. That is going to be the topic of the next game. Let's dive right in. Welcome back, everybody. Getting ourselves another white game. So we're not really gonna be creative at all. We're just gonna be going for the most boring opening ever, the Jobava London. And I'm calling it the most boring ever because it's just gonna be easy win no matter what black plays. So bishop on f5, gonna be triggering the f3 move, and then if allowed, play pawn to e4. If knight f6, get back into the normal kingside stuff. Right now, okay, only interesting move, it's bishop g6. If he makes mistake of capturing, it's gonna be, yeah, like already close to losing for black. So crazy that you can play such opening. 2100 elo opponent. Really, really big trouble on move 6. I'm telling you guys, like, what the heck other opening can you play and just get such an overwhelming advantage? Oh no! My opponent is threatening me with a check! You know how they say, every rose comes with a thorn? That didn't really make much sense, but bishop h4 check, it's just a check I can always block with a pawn. So checks are useless if your opponent can block with a pawn. Through that, I can also take and block with a pawn, but I don't wanna bring his queen over. It looks annoying. So I'm just gonna play g3 and then castle. Looks like a little bit. My opponent is getting tilted with his bishop h4 check. I don't know what was that. Okay. Knight f6. Knight f6. So, normal game, kind of. Let's say it's a normal game. Now, I would be looking for e5, knight d5, and then some trade on g6 with knight e4. This would be the lovely combo. Can we get that? I think we can get it. Also, e5, bishop d3. I have simple move queen captures on d3, but maybe also intermezzo. So ef6, because bishop f1, I have takes on e7. Yeah, okay, so this would actually be losing material. Maybe I just take with the queen. Make it interesting. But yeah, knight d5. Okay, I can do knight e4 right away, but maybe some knight b4 can be annoying. So I'm gonna trade bishops. No need to be afraid of the rook. The rook is not gonna do anything alone. And then this knight e4 is like the key. And now he's gonna have long-term weakness, the backward pawn on f7. So some knight g5, he already needs to watch out for not to lose immediately. It's gonna be difficult to protect f7. Okay, knight c6. I can either try to calculate my way into the quick win, or I can play c3, universal move, solidifying. I'm trying to understand how will black try to finish development, because if he goes queen d7 long castle, it looks like knight g5 is gonna hit well. And if he goes c3 short castle, still similarly, I have knight g5 with queen g4. So I'm just gonna play c3, let's see what he wants to do. Solidifying move. You can also put knight on g5. Maybe it was best move, I was just lazy to calculate. So let's see. I'm drinking decaf coffee, by the way. We have a decaf, not a cappuccino, but a coffee. Okay, queen d7. Knight g5 is a move. f6. f6 a bit annoying. I might have to take and retreat. So I'm not a huge fan of knight g5 right now. What do we do with this bishop? Could also put queen on e2, just flexible move. Yeah, I think I like queen e2, so basically we are preparing this knight g5, but the idea is that the queen will have some pressure. So I think I'm starting queen e2. It's a useful multi-purpose move, also eyeballing the queen side, also the king side, depending where his king decides to castle. So I think this queen e2 move is clever. And okay, how do we play this? Also, I'm thinking about the way I'm treating this opening. Perhaps I could have also just played for ultra central approach to play c4. It's not like I really need this c3. I could have played c4, bishop e3. Perhaps that was a little bit more accurate. I'm just looking at it now. Maybe now just play c4 to get rid of the knight. Yeah, so the problem with this knight g5 is that it's a good move, but I don't... No, actually, knight g5, what is he playing? Knight g5, f6, I can still go in knight f7. So I think knight g5 is simply strong. Knight g5, bishop takes. Maybe take with a bishop. Yes, this has to be very good. Put pressure. And the idea is that once the bishop trades, I'm gonna get access over c5. And the knight on c5 combined with queen b5 can be very, very dangerous. I might as well just go for simple chess and after the bishop try to double up rooks, play rook f2, rook a f1. But yeah, he plays f6, which is the move that I was afraid of initially, but then I realized like, wait a second, that is still not gonna be stopping the problem. So knight f7 gets to infiltrate. Rook h3, a very loose move. That rook could be vulnerable to tactics. I'm just gonna take the rook so it doesn't run away. And then, okay, it feels like he's planning some queen h8, but I'm already well protected. That shouldn't be very scary. Yeah, no, this is just too good. I mean, come on, just hitting the bank. Breaking the bank. Taking that pawn on e6 with check. Now, this rook h3 was... well, it's only the beginning of 2025, but it's candidate for worst move of the year. And yeah, I feel like this should be a free knight. Rook h2, and then we just need to protect the mate with knight f2. So, safe grab. Then just knight f2, even stopping queen h3, anything. Queen is covering all the critical squares. So, yeah, just coffee time now after knight f2. Decaf coffee time. I don't know, is decaf coffee actually good? I started drinking decaf, but I don't know if it's good. Hopefully it's not gonna kill me. I feel like my chess has been a bit slower since I'm drinking decaf. This c3 move was partly a sign of it. I could have gone more aggressive this game, but yeah, it's maybe just the effect of the decaf coffee. Obviously, joking around, but maybe it is. What if it is? How can you know that it's not? You don't know. Okay, opponent just dealing a little bit with the realization, I guess, that I have a million pieces that are protecting the king, and he only has queen rook. Okay, I mean, he honestly has no threats. Like, I can just take bishop c5. I can capture the bish. The knight on f2 is MVP. Best employee of the month. Best Jobava defender. Knight on f2. You want a friend as good as the knight on f2. Is that really possible? I don't know. Kind of a little bit too much to ask from a friend. Bishop e3. Developing. Okay, c6, hitting my queen. I can go anywhere. Thinking to pick something to restrict his knight. Okay, queen h5, not making a threat, and I think I will just bring a rook into the game. Could use the other one, but I don't feel like we need escape square, plus maybe it's good to have it protected, to have the knight protected. So rook d1, bit of a cheap trick, but also activating. Threatening to mate. c6, of course, expected, and now I could do queen d4 with a tempo. I can do queen a5, more interesting with a tempo. Yeah, queen a5 has to be the way. Yes, queen a5. So most likely he's gonna go b6, and then it feels like sacrifices should work. Like a bishop sacrifice is probably what the doctor ordered in this position. Bishop sacrifice a day keeps the apple away. You don't have to eat an apple a day if you sacrifice a bishop. You're gonna be good, trust me. It is this bro science that you're watching the videos for. Okay. Mr. Brute, allowing me to get a bishop sack. Okay, let's get some vitamins. Going in for the bishop sack, not even sacrifice, not even calculating the sacrifice before. Now take. So knight b7 is rook d7 with mate next. So knight is protecting everything. I told you, you want a friend like the knight, remember? And king c8, okay, this is not so obvious how to do it. Like I saw queen a6 check. It's very nice that we can actually pause and think about it. So I have many moves like rook d8 check. I have queen a6. I have maybe queen a7 also, not a stupidity. I'm struggling to see a threat for black because queen f3 always I will take the rook. So looks like we can take our time with this. Let's do calculation now. No more BS talk. So check. Oh, maybe it's e6 move. So it could be e6 move with the threat of going check and then rook d7. That I can understand. Because if I check, king c7, check, knight b7, rook d7, king d7, queen b7, king e8, queen c6, king f7. Nah, has to be e6. Let's go for it. Wait, e6? Am I blundering? e6, rook h1. I almost blundered. Because if I take with the knight now, there's gonna be bishop c5 winning my queen. Oh my god, I'm such an oxymoron, but without the oxy. Okay. that was actually blundering the win. I gotta be careful. I wanted to make this work. Check, bishop c7. Then I'm missing that final piece. Do you know the feeling of missing the final piece? Where is my final piece? I want my final piece. So check. King c7. Check. Knight b7. And then maybe e6. Maybe that's it. And after check, he doesn't get to like win my queen anymore. Although queen e2, knight f2. Yeah, this is safe. Okay, I figured it out. I think this is it, guys. Sorry for taking a bit longer than expected, but I think we have it done till the checkmate. So we check now. Oh no, we don't check now. That was the point. Ah, I messed it up again. Okay, so we do e6 now. Because knight takes, I have queen a7 and I win the knight. Yeah, e6 now. This is the move. This has the threat of rook d7 and then mate. Okay, we have no time. No time. Exactly how we love it. No time. This is... We're living in a speed era. Wait, is that like just losing? Seems to be losing. Bishop c5, so he was trying to pin me and go for sexy time, but I get to sexy time first. Yeah, exactly how I planned. Okay, overall feels like was pretty reasonable game. Thank you guys for watching the video till the end. If you don't want to miss any updates related to the website, subscribe to my newsletter. Or in case you're already too obsessed with chess, make sure to check out that video. I'll see you there.